Hey BookTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenna and today I will be doing the Netflix book tag. I was tagged by the lovely Amy over at Amy Reads. I will link her channel down below, and I will also link the original video down below that was created by A Darker Shade of Whitney. And at the end of this tag portion of the video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about a Q&A that I have coming up that is library themed. So if you have any questions for me about libraries or how to become a librarian, feel free to ask me down in the comments, but more on that later. Let's get into this tag. Question number 1, recently watched the last book you finished reading, and I have to go with The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden because I literally just finished reading this about 2 hours ago. I absolutely love this, guys. I initially had a gut reaction to give it 5 stars. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to stick to that, but if I don't stick with 5 stars, it's probably going to be 4.5 at least. I absolutely loved this. This is a medieval Russian fairy tale retelling that is just darkly magical and so atmospheric. I highly recommend if you like fairy tales, and I mean, it's really told like a fairy tale, and honestly all my thoughts about it are really incoherent right now because I need to gather them together first, but I do plan on doing a full video review of this one coming up very, very soon, so if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Just know that I absolutely loved it. Question number 2, top picks, a book that's been recommended to you based on a book you previously read. And the book I previously read that I liked was The Phantom of the Opera, and just a general story in the movie, and then also kind of sort of Beauty and the Beast as well. As you know, that is my favorite fairy tale. But my stepmom recommended a book called Innocence by Dean Koontz because it has a very similar feel to it as Phantom of the Opera and Beauty and the Beast, in that the main character has what seems to be a facial deformity, so where if he goes out in public, people cower in fear, and he's just seen negatively as far as his appearance goes. So he hides out underground until a girl ends up finding him, and they work together to rid the city, New York City, of this evil presence. And that's me being as vague as I possibly can. It's a very unique story, one that I didn't like as much as I thought that I would, but I did really enjoy the writing and the setting and the characters. So Innocence by Dean Koontz is my answer to that question. Number 3, recently added, the last book I bought, and that is Cemetery Girl by David Bell. I really don't know anything about this one other than the fact that it is an adult thriller, and I believe a little girl goes missing 1 year, and then several years later she reappears, and it's just the family and this community trying to figure out exactly what happened to her and just the aftermath of that. So it looked good. I was really intrigued by the cover because I think it's really, really pretty. But yeah, that was the last book that I picked up at my library book sale for $1. Number 4, popular on Netflix, books that everyone knows about. So pick 2 that you've read and then 2 you have no interest in. The 2 that I've read was The Girl on the Train, see it everywhere, you're probably very familiar with it, an adult thriller about a girl on a train. I liked it. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. I think wasn't my favorite book in the world, but I did really like it, especially since it was one of the first adult thrillers that I read, and I really enjoyed the unreliable narrator aspect of that. And then the other book that I have read that I see everywhere is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, and this was one of the first YA books that I had read as an adult, and I really liked it at the time. This was before I was on BookTube, and then when I got on BookTube, everybody had this negative reaction to this book, and I was really surprised because when I read it for the first time, I really liked it. And I still do. Now that I've read it and have read several other young adult books, fantasy books, I can definitely see how some of the plot elements would be seen as unoriginal, but I still remember really liking it when I read it for the first time. So I would really like to reread this before I read Glass Sword and then King's Cage. We'll see how soon that happens though. And then the other 2 books that I see everywhere but I'm not interested in are 50 Shades of Grey, that whole series, just no, and Lady Midnight. I see that everywhere, but I really just decided to DNF the Shadowhunter world just because I lost interest, and there's so many books and just so little time that I'm just DNFing the whole world. I did enjoy the first 3 books of the Mortal Instruments, but I just kind of lost interest after that. The next question is number 5, comedy. Show us a funny book. And I am going to show you Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. If you like Tina Fey and her humor and you haven't read her book, please do so. And I would definitely recommend the audiobook because she reads it herself and she's just so funny. I absolutely love her. Number 6, dramas. A character who is a drama queen / king. And I struggled with the answer to this question, but I ultimately decided on Adele from Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. She is Mr. Rochester's ward, and Jane is her governess. So she's a little girl, I believe she's 10 or 11, and she's just very spirited and outgoing, and she loves girly things like dresses and parties, and she just wants to be a fine lady when she grows up. And she's just very opinionated and boisterous, and I just think she's the perfect drama queen for this question. Number 7, animated. Show us a book with cartoons on the cover. And I'm going with Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. This is my favorite graphic novel that I've read so far. I haven't read that many, but it is a goal this year to read more and to find ones that I like. So I'm definitely going with this one because it has cartoons on the cover, and another one just because I wanted to mention it in case you are interested in the world of graphic novels but don't really know where to start. This is a really cute and funny fantasy standalone graphic novel that I definitely recommend. Number 8, Watch It Again, a book / series that you want to reread. And I am going with The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. This is one of the books that I definitely want to reread this year. I am waiting until the paperback version of The Fate of the Tearling, which is the 3rd in the trilogy, to come out in May, I think. And then I plan on rereading The Queen of the Tearling and then getting to The Invasion of the Tearling before The Fate of the Tearling. But anyway, this was one of the first adult high fantasy novels that I've ever read, and I absolutely recommend it. It's so good, and I just can't wait to reread it because it has definitely been a while. Okay, number 9, documentary, a nonfiction book that you would recommend to everyone. And when it comes to this type of question, I absolutely always have to go with Captivating by John and Stacey Eldridge. This is a Christian nonfiction, kind of a Christian lifestyle type of book, and this book means so much to me. It's definitely time for a reread. I first read it in college when I was in a kind of a darker, more lost time of my life. I was getting out of a relationship I shouldn't have been in, and this was just incredibly helpful. It opened up my eyes to see Jesus as the lover of my soul, and I had never thought of him in that way before, and that was the main thing that I took from this book, was that aspect of it. So if you are a woman and you want to get to know Jesus a little bit more, I would definitely recommend this book. There are tons of good ones out there, and maybe I'll make a video on my recommendations of that. But Captivating is definitely my favorite one that I've read so far. The next question is question number 10, action / adventure. Pick an action-packed book. And I'm going with the Wolf by Wolf duology by Ryan Groudon, the first one being Wolf by Wolf and the second one being Blood for Blood. I absolutely love this series. It is one of the best young adult series I think that is out there that I've read. The writing is just amazing. The plot is so fast-paced. The characters are incredibly complex, and it's amazing. If you don't know too much about it, it is an alternate history retelling following the world as it would have been if Hitler had won World War II along with the Nazis. And it's about this Jewish girl named Yael, who is a skin shifter, who impersonates a German female motorcycle racer to win a race, to win an audience with Hitler in order to kill him. So it's insane. You should definitely go read it. If you are at all intrigued, it's definitely worth your time. So good. And I will not stop recommending it until all of my subscribers have read this book. So you should probably go out and read it. Number 11, newly released. A new release that you cannot wait to be released for you to read. And that for this question, I'm going with A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I'm so excited for this one. I do plan on rereading A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Court of Mist and Fury before this one comes out. So, excuse me, I planning to get to A Court of Thorns and Roses very, very soon. I have it actually right here. I'm not sure when I'll be able to get to this one. I thought about reading it this month in March, but we will see. I definitely want to reread this before the third one comes out, just to refresh my memory. But those are all of the questions for the Netflix book tag. Thank you to Amy for tagging me. And I didn't plan on tagging anybody. Crap. I'll tag a couple people down below. I have a couple people in mind, but anyway, I'll just go ahead and just check the description box to see if you've been tagged. But if you want to do this, boom, I tag you. Go ahead and do it. But that concludes the Netflix book tag. Now I wanted to share with you a little bit of info about a Q&A video that I plan on doing very soon. If you are unfamiliar with my channel, or if you're new here, I am a children's librarian at a public library here in Florida. And I do love my job, and I've talked a little bit about it on my channel before, but I thought it would be fun to do a whole video on it if you're interested. So if you have any questions for me about what it's like to work in a library, how I became a librarian, how you can become a librarian if you want to, or just like little questions, I mean, it's totally open. Ask me anything. You can ask me down here in the comments. You can hit me up on Instagram too. I'm also on Twitter, but I honestly don't check Twitter as much as I probably should if I'm going to have a booktube channel. But anyway, if you have any questions for me, that anything library related, definitely ask me down in the comments. It could be anything. And I do have to throw out there that I am not an expert at all. I have only been a librarian for about 8 months now officially, but I've had other library jobs too. So I've been working in libraries for about 3.5 years, but I've only officially been a librarian for like 8 months. But anyway, I'll save all that information for the Q&A video. So if you have any questions, let me know down below. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys very, very soon with a new video. Bye.